While climate change is one effect people have had on our atmosphere, the hole in our ozone layer is another effect. And the hole in our ozone layer relates to a chemical called CFCs, which stands for chlorofluorocarbons. And what happens is, in our little diagram up here, we start with the CFC. When sunlight hits the CFC, it loses a chlorine atom. Chlorine reacts with ozone. Ozone is 3 oxygen atoms stuck together to make a molecule. And when it reacts, the byproduct is regular oxygen. O2 is like the oxygen we breathe. And then the other oxygen atom sticks to the chlorine atom. And then they separate off. And the chlorine atom that's been freed will ultimately go back around, recombine, turn back into a CFC, and the cycle will start over again. So the insidious nature of this is that one CFC molecule can repeatedly break down more and more ozone molecules. Now CFCs, the sources for CFCs are a variety of sources. Aerosols, 26%, refrigerants like Freon, 26%, foams, solvents, then various other things. Now aerosols, for the most part, we have addressed. We have very few things that come in aerosol cans anymore. Refrigeration, Freon is slowly being converted into other forms so that we do not produce CFCs from refrigeration, but we haven't completely eliminated all sources of CFCs. Now what happens when it breaks down the ozone is we get a hole in the ozone layer. And these illustrations down here show that hole. That blue circle is the hole in the ozone layer in various years. And you're looking at down towards Antarctica. It turns out the way our atmosphere currents work, the CFCs get concentrated at the polar regions, and in particular around the South Pole. So the worst ozone depletion is taking place over Antarctica. When we lose our ozone layer, the effect is we're losing our ability to block out ultraviolet light, because our ozone layer is what protects us from ultraviolet light from the sun. And in our last picture here, you see the sunlight coming in. Most of the ultraviolet light gets absorbed in the ozone layer. And recall, this is why the stratosphere gets so warm, because of absorbing the ultraviolet light. But places where the ozone has been depleted, ultraviolet light makes its way through. Ultraviolet light, on its most benign end of its effects, is what gives you a tan. A little bit worse is a sunburn. But that's the normal amounts of ultraviolet that come through our atmosphere. With the ozone hole, worse is it can lead to skin cancer, as it breaks down your skin cells. It can kill various plants and other things. It kills bacteria, which may sound like a good deal, but there's a lot of bacteria that we do need on a daily basis. So excess ultraviolet is going to be very harmful to humans as well as plants and animals. Now the good news is, because we have cut out the production of a good chunk of the sources for CFCs, the ozone hole is improving. But it is still there, and we're not done yet. So this is something that is in the process of being addressed, a place where people have affected our atmosphere, but then laws were put into place that have reversed the process. So the story of the hole in our ozone layer is ultimately going to have a happy ending, but we aren't there yet.